Hi friends, hello, hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. So we're in a bit of a location change. So I decided, I never do this. I never usually make 2 videos on a topic. I usually just like mic drop it and then call it a day. Like I don't like to make too many videos on a subject just because I'm like, how much more can I really offer once the initial tea has been spilt. But now that Reddit Beauty Guru Chatter is on its 20th mega thread, I feel it's okay for me to maybe step in and make another video about this situation and just give you guys kind of like my thoughts about what has been going on with this situation since I posted my video Friday, because believe it or not, a ton of stuff has happened. I didn't want to do my makeup today because I've just been having I don't know what's going on with me, but I just needed to not do my makeup. So I decided that I don't know how well this is gonna work. I am one of the millions of people that bought the James Chanos palette from Morphe, and I've seen a lot of people destroying their palette, giving it away, throwing it in lakes. I've seen a lot of people doing that. I paid $40 for this, so I'm not just gonna get rid of it. And while it's not my favorite palette, it's not necessarily a bad palette. It works okay. I don't love this palette, but it's gotten some use, you know what I mean? Oh my god. Unleash your inner lawsuit, sister. So I decided that I love, this intro is way too long, you guys are here for tea, but I love to paint. I'm bad at it, I'm horrible at it, but I love doing it. So I have some paint supplies here, and I just decided that I am just going to paint today. I don't know how this is gonna turn out, but at the end of the day, I don't care how this palette looks anymore, so I'm just gonna do something fun and talk about drama while I do it. So for those of you that don't know, I posted a video on Friday, basically just talking about the initial Tati video. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you're caught up on that, but if you haven't watched my initial Tati video, you can go watch it. I just kind of talked about, it was right when Tati's video went live, and I basically was right on that drama for some reason. That never happens. But I decided to hop on that. So I posted that video, and then so much has happened since then. I guess there's so much to unpack, I guess. I think the biggest thing that I want to talk about right now is kind of some of the allegations that have come out against James since Tati released her video. There's been multiple boys coming forward basically saying that they are, they experienced predatory behavior from James, and saying that he was DMing them inappropriate things and they had receipts. And to me, I think this just kind of further solidified the claims that Tati was making, that he was doing really inappropriate things with his fame, and he was using it to kind of, I really liked what she said in the video about how she said their sexuality is not an escape room that you can just crack. I really loved when she said that. I thought that was such a good analogy. And a lot of boys have been coming forward explaining their experiences with him, and the most notable one is a waiter from Washington State. So it seems like Tati talked about her birthday dinner and how James was really inappropriate with a waiter, and something happened with him, and the waiter actually came forward. He had receipts and he had DMs and stuff. The waiter came forward and basically was I'm the waiter that Tati was talking about, I'm the boy that James has been subtweeting about, and this is what happened. And he explained everything. He said he did initially reach out to James, and he said that he talked to James. He said he did meet up with him and they made out, but that was pretty much the extent of their relationship. So he talked to him a little while after, and that he eventually told James, he was I don't feel I'm curious, I think I know my sexuality now and I'm not interested in you. And James basically was no, you're gay. You're not straight. I hope you know that. You're not straight. And just all of this stuff. And also there was a really sus text that was sent of James saying things that you do when you're drunk or what you want to do when you're sober. So that leads me to believe that the kid was drunk when he made out with James. And I know James claims that he doesn't drink. So if James was sober and this kid, I've seen nobody talk about this, and I think this is a huge red flag, that if this kid was drunk and James was sober, there's the possibility that there was something happening there, that he was under the influence and James wasn't. That just kind of susses me out to begin with. And then the kid kind of goes on to explain the situation. It was a very short video he made. It was basically just explaining what had happened. The only thing about that video, he included a clip of James and him talking on FaceTime, and that actually is an illegal clip because he recorded it without James's knowledge, which does violate Washington State's, I believe, there are laws about recording people without their consent. So he had to take the video down for that reason. And I would encourage people to like not spread that video around, because I don't want this kid who was just trying to like tell his side of the story to get in legal issues because of that, because I'm sure he didn't know that. I think in the day of social media, most people assume that you can just record whatever you want. You can't. So that whole thing happened. And I've seen a lot of people, particularly Gabriel Zamora, kind of call into question this like kid and his intentions, and kind of say like, well, you know, he's he's bisexual. And Gabriel Zamora went on this whole rant basically saying that like in their industry, they encounter all these straight boys, but they're not really straight. Like they're down to hook up or whatever, but they say they're straight, or, you know, all of this stuff. And to me, it just seems really predatory. And everything about James's text to this kid really bothered me. Especially because the text of being like, well, I hope you, like trying to manipulate him and be like, well, I hope you figure out that you're not straight, and like all of that stuff. Like that was really gross to me. I think we need to have like a very serious talk about this. Like I'd like to turn this into a more serious thing. I think we need to have a really serious talk about consent and what consent means and what that is. Because consent is like a big issue, it seems, with this whole thing. It seems like the biggest thing about this is like consent. A person, and I'm seeing this even when the whole Gage thing happened. I saw a lot of people being like, well, he went to Coachella, so he was obviously interested. A person could buy you like a 10-night stay at Disney, and you told them you were gonna sleep with them, and you told them you were gonna have sex with them, and they could have bought you like the nicest thing. They could buy you Gucci, they could shower you in whatever because you said you were gonna do something, and you still have zero obligation to that person to do anything with them. Anything. And honestly, I know some people are going to disagree with me, because I know some people are going to think, well, it's like scammy. No, your body, your rules. This kid who went over to his hotel room and was just experimenting, he had no obligation to end up being with James. And I think that's something that James really needs to learn. Gage, who went to Coachella, had no obligation to be with James. And I think that's something that is very clear because of Tati's original video, that James clearly does not understand these like rules of consent. Like I just don't think he gets it. I don't think he understands what consent actually means. I think he struggles with that. Because based on all these other stories, and we're hearing things of like, there was one particular guy, I don't remember his name, I wish I did. I saw this kid on Twitter basically saying that James had like slid into his DMs telling him he was attractive, and he was like, oh, like thanks. And they had like a very brief conversation, and then James messaged him and the kid ignored him because he just didn't know what to say, because James Charles was DMing him kind of creepy things, and James was like, oh, you ghosted me. And the kid was like, no, I just didn't know what to say. And he was like, straight boys have no game. That's what James said, direct quote. And it's just like, straight boys have no game. It's like they don't have game because they don't want to talk to you. They're not interested in you. And to me, it's just kind of further confirmed everything that Tati was saying about him and his behavior. And I think it was really eye-opening, you know? That whole thing has been crazy. So all the boys coming forward, I'm sure there's more that have come forward. There is one fake story that I've seen floating around that's been proven to be fake. And it's this girl claiming that she went to James's high school and that James like actually sexually assaulted her friend, and that is 100% fake. But I saw it getting like over 50,000 retweets on Twitter. So just like be careful of fake information, because that stuff is just as dangerous as what James was doing. So just try and be cautious. But there was a girl who was definitely spreading false information. So then we get into the whole issue of Jeffree Star. So I kind of figured Jeffree Star would not stay quiet on this issue, just because he seems to usually get involved in stuff like this. But I was curious because I know he and James work together on James's merch company, Sisters Apparel. So I was curious if maybe he would stay silent because of like a business. He didn't. He tweeted a couple days ago basically saying, you know, being in support of Tati and saying, well, now you know. He said something that it's not really adding up, but we'll talk about it. He basically said, James, you know, after the situation with Tati when they were in Washington State, he said that Nathan banned James from their home, and that, which is so weird, and that he hasn't talked to him since then. There are tweets of Jeffree tweeting at him as early as like April, like the end of April. So I don't know how true that is. I'm not really sure if he actually wasn't speaking to him. I don't know if it was for show. I don't know what the situation was, but Jeffree's basically basically claiming that his boyfriend, Nathan, something happened with them and James was no longer welcome in their home after the situation that happened in Washington State. So Jeffree kind of chimed in on this whole thing. Jeffree Star also retweeted James Charles's little brother and quote tweeted him because he tweeted something about people being mean on the internet and was basically like, why did you move back to New York City? Like, why did you leave then if James isn't manipulative? Like, you left for a reason too. And I actually had wondered what happened to James's brother because he used to have a very large presence on his YouTube channel, and he really hasn't as of late. So I was kind of curious what happened with that. So it seems like, according to Jeffree, there's some sort of like tea or something going on there that would be interesting to kind of hear about. But those are the big things with Jeffree. It wasn't anything like huge, but he definitely showed what side he's on. And I think that's very interesting, that he's really taking Team Tati all the way. Since I uploaded my last video, James has lost over 2.5 million followers in like 3 days. Tati has gained like 3 million. She's gonna hit 10 million soon, which is crazy. So you can kind of see, obviously, where the internet is lying. But along with that, James is not only losing like his followers, but he's losing a lot of celebrity endorsement, which that part's kind of crazy to me because I feel like the big thing about James is he is kind of one of the first people on YouTube to start bringing celebrities onto his channel. I know some beauty gurus did stuff with Kim K when she launched her makeup line, but James Charles does stuff with like celebrities. Like he did something with Iggy Azalea. He got Kim Kardashian and Kylie in videos. He's kind of known for getting celebrities to be in his videos. And all of those celebrities, like along with the other millions of people and his fans that are unfollowing him, all of those celebrities are now unfollowing James. So that's not going well. He's losing like a lot of support. On top of that, a lot of YouTubers have been unfollowing him, which is not surprising. YouTubers are pretty much unanimously with Tati, with the exception of Gabriel Zamora, who we'll get into in a minute. So that's been interesting to watch, see the community really turn on him. The Dolan twins and Emma Chamberlain did turn on him and unfollowed him. And I think, does this look bad? I'm trying to go for like a marbled effect. I know the Dolan twins and Emma Chamberlain unfollowed him and Keemstar did call them out for that, but I high-key think that's annoying. Those kids are so young. They're so brand friendly. Like the Dolan twins and Emma Chamberlain are like brand friendly. They work with so many different brands. And it seems like to me, because they didn't ever meet up at Coachella, it seems like to me that friendship has been over for a little while now. So I don't really blame the Dolan twins or Emma Chamberlain for unfollowing Sister James. It seems like that was kind of a toxic situation. I think what's really happening here is a lot of people are kind of taking this as, I don't think a lot of people liked James to begin with, because people who like someone stand up for them when they think they're being wrong. I don't think the beauty community as a whole particularly liked James Charles. And I think that's why so many of them are taking this opportunity to unfollow him and like hop on the bandwagon, if you will, because they already didn't like him and this is kind of an excuse. Seems like James was not well liked amongst his peers just because of how many people very quickly turned and instantly showed support for Tati. So that's interesting to me. Some people that haven't though are, interestingly, Gabriel Zamora has been really talking, like a lot. Gabriel Zamora has definitely been speaking his, truth. I can't really take Gabriel Zamora seriously at the moment because he literally, in his most recent like Snapchat rant about this situation, referred to himself as Mr. 100, which is the most preposterous thing I've ever heard in my life. So I was kind of just like over Gabriel Zamora at that point. Like I'm finding it hard to take him very seriously. But he posted a whole Snapchat rant calling out Tati again and basically just saying that she's a liar, because in her video Tati said that Gabriel Zamora was complicit with the behavior that James Charles has been exhibiting, like the predatory behavior, because Gabriel Zamora was there when Tati like called James out for it. And Gabriel's kind of rebuking that and saying that Tati's not telling the full side of the story and all of this. In that Snapchat rant, I'll link a video to it down below so you guys can watch it and see for yourselves. But in that Snapchat rant, Gabriel did a whole lot of like showboating and a whole lot of not saying any opinions or facts, or backing up anything that he was saying. I think in a situation like this, where Tati came in really calm, really collected, really had her thoughts, really knew what she wanted to say, I don't think you can come in and just be extra and expect people to really be on your team with with that one. Like, he's definitely trying to do that. I can see that that's what he's like trying to do, is be his extra self, but he's not really succeeding. Most of the people I've seen are saying like he's an idiot. And to be perfectly honest, I think it's so crazy and mind-blowing that Gabriel Zamora can make it out of Dramageddon 2018, which, do you remember when we thought that was the craziest thing that could ever happen on YouTube? Because those were the good times, when we thought that was the craziest thing that could ever happen. He made it through Dramageddon like 2018, somehow the most popular, which is crazy because when I watch his My Thoughts video back, I just really realize how like manipulative it kind of was. Like, I see the My Thoughts back at the time when he made that video, I really commended him because I was like, wow, he's speaking his truth, he's being honest, he owned up to what he did wrong. I was kind of all for that video, the Keep It 100 video, but watching it back again, I was like, he was just playing into what people wanted to hear. Like, whether it was true or not, when he was talking about Manny, everybody was saying how Manny was a social climber, so he just fed into that narrative. And like, I think Gabriel is one of those people that's very good at BSing his way out of things. Because he claims to be so real. A so real person, first of all, doesn't have to keep saying that they keep it 100. A person who keeps it 100 doesn't have to tell people every time they speak. Like, you don't have to constantly be like, I'm Mr. 100. Like, if you're just honest, you don't have to keep reminding people that you're honest, in my opinion. And second of all, you don't get to be center stage for two of the biggest beauty guru dramas to ever happen because you're so like honest and such a good friend. Like, at a certain point, you are the catalyst for these situations. The biggest reason Tati made this whole video is because of Gabriel Zamora. James Charles should literally hate Gabriel Zamora right now because just like he did to Manny and Laura, he is like ruining James ruined his own career, let's be honest, but Gabriel is the catalyst that started this whole thing. Just like he was for Manny and Laura. And that to me is like crazy. If one positive thing has happened with Gabriel Zamora, like at least he's not just jumping ship like he does usually, you know what I mean? I don't think Tati made it so he could though. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about Tati and her motives. And I think you guys are raising a lot of interesting points. I'm seeing a lot of people say that they're still pretty annoyed at Tati because she knew about this behavior from James and she condoned it until he crossed her and until he did something personal to her. And a lot of people feel like it's very disingenuous of Tati to have that. It's like convenient for her when he crossed her to suddenly be like, oh, well, I don't like him anymore. And I can see that perspective, like I definitely can. However, I guess for me, because I see that perspective, I see the idea that Tati only did this because it hurt her and how it seems pretty privileged for her to have ignored all of this predatory behavior until it affected her company and her vitamins. I definitely like see that perspective. And I also low-key, I don't want to say I agree with it, because I don't think I agree with it, but I see the point as being incredibly valid. For me, I think this whole situation has really reminded me of situations like in my own life. Just things that have happened with friendships and like me with friendships and stuff like that. And it kind of reminds me of, I had this friend and she was my best friend for 7 years and she was like my sister. We got matching tattoos. She was my sister. Like, I loved her and I would have done anything for her. And I overlooked a lot. That's a whole story time in itself about this girl, but to talk about the friendship that we had and how I not even overlooked, I ignored. It wasn't even like you know what I mean? Like, I knew what she was doing was bad, but I ignored it because she was my best friend. And I think sometimes when you meet people at a certain place in life, because Tati met him when he was like just starting out on YouTube and everything. He didn't even really have a YouTube channel yet when she met him. You meet people at stages in life, and then as they grow and change into not so great people sometimes. But you're still so stuck on like the person that they were when you met them that it's really difficult for you to see them in that different way. And I've had the same experience with that. I was friends with this girl for so long and she got into drugs and it was like this whole big thing. And I couldn't Like, I overlooked a lot of the bad things she not only did to me, but the bad things that she would do to other people. I like overlooked those because I didn't want to, I still saw her as the girl that I had gone to high school with who was my best friend. Like, that's why I overlooked them. And so for me, I can really empathize with Tati and you know what woke me up from her being a bad person? She screwed me over real bad. She borrowed, like, this girl owes me so much money. She borrowed all this money from me to go somewhere with me and promised she would pay me back, and she never did. And that was like the nail in the coffin where I finally woke up and was like, you're a bad person. Like, you're not, I don't think you're a good person anymore. And it took her doing something personal to me for me to realize that. And so I think because of that personal experience and because of that, I really empathize with Tati here and see how sometimes we excuse crappy behavior from people. This is gonna come out, I think, really pretty. I like the color palette I chose. Simply because we really see them as the person they used to be. And I think that's exactly what happened with James. I think she excused crappy behavior because she wanted to see him as that 17-year-old kid that she felt like she was like a mother to. And I see a lot of people calling their relationship like strange. And I do think it's a little weird for somebody to be in their 30s and be friends with like a teenager. Like, I definitely think that's an unusual circumstance. But I also think they're in the same industry, so they have a lot in common. Like, to me, I grew up in theater. Again, like, I can empathize with these situations because, like, I grew up in theater and I had people, I mean, I wasn't as close as Tati and James, but I had people that I was friends with who were like way older than me, who I considered really good friends. You know, I had those people in my life, and it's because we did the same things. We did theater, we loved it. So we had that common bond. So sometimes I think it is, you know, it happens where you have people that have that common bond and you become really close because of that. And this isn't to like kiss Tati's ass or like defend her in that way, because I do think she overlooked negative behavior, but at the same time, like, she's a human being. I think most of us have probably had similar situations with people in our lives that we just didn't really want to give up on yet. And I think this was Tati giving up. And I also think, and this is again a differing opinion than what I had before, I initially, when the first Snapchat story came out, I was kind of like, you don't need to be putting this online. And now that and I still stand by that the very initial post, I don't think she should have really put online. But overall, I'm happy it was, because I think now we're getting to see who James Charles truly is. And I don't think he's a good person. I just don't. I don't think he's a good person. And I know everybody's saying and like defending him, being like, well, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. And it's like, yeah, everybody makes mistakes. And I know people comment on my freaking videos like, do you think you're perfect? No, I'm absolutely not perfect. I have so many flaws and I've made so many mistakes in my life. And I will gladly tell you about them because I think people grow from mistakes. I don't think what James did was a mistake. I think it was a pattern of behavior that was predatory. That's what I think. I think maybe doing the Sugar Bear hair ad and being a crappy friend to Tati, sure, that's a mistake where you screwed up and you screwed over your friend, like, sure. But I think DMing guys who you know are straight and then trying to emotionally manipulate them to be with you is predatory. Like, that's what that is. You know what I mean? It wasn't a mistake. He did that pattern of behavior. The only mistake he made was he got caught. That's the mistake he made. And don't even get me started on his apology video, because oh my God, that was like the worst thing I've ever seen. The fact that he sat there with a straight face and was like, I always knew that me being open about my love life would get me in trouble one day. It's like, bitch, you're in trouble because you're a predator. Like, this has nothing to do with you. People are open about their love. I have my boyfriend on this channel all the time. Gets me in zero trouble because I'm not a freaking predator. Like, don't belittle the situation like that. It's so frustrating. I think going forward, and here's where I'm gonna say something that I know is unpopular, and you don't have to listen, like, you don't have to listen to anything I'm saying. One of the things I did want to say in this video that I felt was important to say is that while James, I do not think is a good person the way he is now, and while he's done things that are predatory, and while he has done things that I personally like severely condone, while he's done all of that, I really tried to live by the motto of like, when they go low, we go high. And I know some of you might think that's hypocritical because I made this video, but I really do try to make my videos from just kind of a constructive standpoint. I'm never trying to like make someone feel like shit about themselves, I try to just like give my opinion and give the information, and I think that's what most people do. But I've seen a select few people online who are just being really vicious, and to me, it's like you don't have to really be vicious to him at this point, because like he already is the bad guy. He's losing his entire career in this span of, you know, a couple days, and that's justified. Him losing his career and him no longer having a platform, that is justified. That is something right happening. That is the community self-policing and monitoring itself and saying, we will not stand for this type of behavior. Like, that's a good thing. But I don't think on top of that, we need to be sending people death threats or coming after their families, you know, essentially trying to make them do something drastic. And I think the thing we have to remember at the end of the day is, even though he's done things that are horrible, James Charles is still a human being. I think to be as cruel as I've seen some people being, and to be trying to like persuade him to hurt himself in any way, in my opinion, that's just as bad as what James Charles did, because you're playing with someone's life at that point. And I know this isn't a popular thing to say. I know with the internet and with cancel culture and with everything, and I believe me, this is all justified in my opinion. Everything that's happened to him, I think it's 100% justified. But I don't think sending death threats and saying horrible things about him is the way to go. I don't think that's gonna help anything. I really, really don't. And it makes me sad because I know that we as a community, like, I know we're better than that. We're better than sending those types of threats. It's one thing to voice your opinion on the issue. It's one thing to unfollow. It's one thing to, you know, talk about it and gossip about it and tweet about it, because it's a huge topic, like, I get it. But I think where we cross the line is like hate speech and stuff like that. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. I know I didn't cover everything that's happened, and that's mostly just because so much has happened. It's really hard to cover everything because so much has been going on. I don't really know where I went with this. I went really like abstract. I want to like write something. Oh, it kind of looks like a unicorn. Hey babe, I painted my James Charles palette.
It's very Hannah.
What should I write? I want to write like something over it.
Bye, sister.
Is that too savage? All right, so we're finished with our Bye Sister palette. This feels a little like funny actually. Like, I kind of am living for this palette, I'm not even gonna lie. Actually, it's very much me now. Like, the color story is a lot more me. I had fun doing this. I had fun painting. I love painting. And I also feel like I just ranted for like 45 minutes, but that's fine. As always, like, let me know down below what you guys think about this video. I'm really curious to hear your opinions about everything that's been happening.
I thought it was great.
Thanks. I'm really curious to hear your opinions about everything that's kind of been happening and everything that's been popping off. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, or dislike, or just subscribe, or do neither. Honestly, just so happy you're watching me. Thank you so much for being here. My merch, my social media, and everything I'm not wearing on my face and wearing nothing will be linked down below. And yeah, I love you guys so, so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! Bye, sister.